Olympic distance, which of course is the format they used in 2012, where Alistair won the Olympic gold, Jonathan won the bronze, and Javier Gomez was between them. He's absent today, as we've heard, focusing on that half Ironman in a little while in Staffordshire. But still, apart from Gomez, all the world's best are gathered here in the centre of the capital, ready for round 6 of the World Triathlon Series for 2015. And they're away. Always a spectacular start, and would expect the pace to come from Ali Brownlee and Jonathan Brownlee's training partner Richard Varga, the Slovakian, always one of the quickest men in the water. He will certainly be one to watch, and he may well be joined by Aurélien Raphael, the Frenchman wearing number 24. And they're away. Single lap in the water, cold water this weekend, Steve True.
Matt, it's desperately cold out there, around 15 degrees. It's been hovering just above, just underneath. Watching some of the age groupers early on wearing just one swim hat, and they really suffered. I'm looking at this start. We've got used to seeing such fast starts by Richard Varga, but you know what, Matt, I think this just takes out everyone we've seen. He's going out there as if it's a 200-metre freestyle in a short course ball. That's really quite stunning. And he talked about the tactics, how important it is that nothing goes wrong. And I think Richard Varga has almost got this agenda. I work with the Brownlees in training. If I can help them to do something, let's maybe give it a go, see if they can stay with me. Because, again, if we can get a short break on this course, chances are just maybe we could stay away.
So it's a ferocious pace to begin round 6 of the World Triathlon Series here in Hyde Park. Thankfully, now we have a certain calm weather situation. We had some horrendous weather this morning, and they were worried that the course for the bike would be wet. It's still pretty damp underfoot, but it's drying out, so it's much better than the forecast suggested otherwise. So now we're hearing, we've been talking in the build-up to the start of this race from the athletes, and we took some time out to chat to Jonathan Brownlee about his approach to the swim.
I always fear the swim because I know that if I'm running fit, I'm going to run whatever time, 29, 30, 14 minutes. Whereas a swim, you can be as fit as you want, but for a bad start, you get behind people, or you have to swim around people. People hit you, dunk you, push in the water. The first buoy, you can get caught on the inside, and you can feel like you're going nowhere for 5 seconds because people are pulling your legs, pulling your tri-suit, and it's not much fun. I absolutely hate it. But it's part of the sport. And also, one tactic that I've learned is you have to kind of be aggressive towards people, not purposely do anything wrong, but if you are scared of touching people, they'll hit you, they'll dunk you. But if you get past the first buoy or the second buoy, it normally calms down a little bit and then actually becomes swimming.
So here comes that first buoy that Johnny was referring to. You can see the kayaker just staying close to give them an idea that they have to turn to swimmer's right and then make the left turn. And of course, as ever, it's Richard Varga, the Slovakian wearing number 10, who leads them through. Aurélien Raphael, the Frenchman with 24, isn't far behind, and then things start to happen, and this whirlpool washing machine effect takes place, and you really need to avoid the flailing arms. You can get ducked, you can get held under for a while, and that's why they're there with the kayaks and the paddle boards and the ribs as well, to be sure that everybody comes through that turn safely. And a swim for an athlete can be affected adversely with a bad turn if somebody really gets hold of you, Steve True.
Absolutely, Matt. Two things there: a very, very wide start, along with, of course, our top-class athletes, and then the first turning buoy very quickly on. It's not Olympic distance, it's a sprint distance, and we could see, even at those early stages, as Alistair described, you've got to be aggressive, you've got to make sure that you're the one in the correct turning point, because we saw, even with this elite field, some of the guys at the back, they were getting knocked about really quite badly. They didn't get the position, they didn't work it right getting into the first turn, and it went away from them.
No surprise to see Henry Schoeman, the South African, up near the front of the field. Specialist swimmer, was a South African open water swim specialist before he switched to triathlon. Sometimes struggles on two wheels and on the run, but he's up there with Richard Varga, who we're watching now at the front of the swim field. So this is round 6. The tour began in March in Abu Dhabi, where Mario Mola took the win over the Olympic distance. Then we had Johnny Brownlee's golden double with victory in Auckland, followed by the win on the Gold Coast. Then Alistair returned to victory and took the win in Cape Town. Despite falling on the run, he got tripped up by Javier Gomez, bounced back up, and with an extraordinary fighting spirit, battled his way into first position, held on to take the win in Cape Town. Gomez got his own back on Alistair last time out in Yokohama. Sprint finish between Javier Gomez and Alistair Brownlee, with Mario Mola coming in third. Johnny Brownlee has missed the last couple of races. It's the first time in 2015 that the Brownlee brothers will go head-to-head as they come in front of Lansbury's Lido on the southern bank, which opened in 1930, open to the public in summer. Members of the so-called Serpentine Swimming Club can swim in that fenced-off area. They can swim every morning of the year, and there's a traditional Christmas Day swim, which you may well have seen on the news during the festive period. There they are, a few people out and about today. Not many people swimming on this chilly afternoon.
It's a war of attrition out there. We saw the swim start, it was flat out to the start. We've already seen on this short swim just how much the swimmers have just checked out. We'd be expecting the whole guys to be together on this short swim. It hasn't happened. It really is a war of attrition. It started fast. Varga wants to be out there. Skooma wants to be out there. They're forcing the pace. Both the Brownlees will absolutely love this. And I just truly believe that that attrition war is going to continue on the bike. We're going to see attack after attack with the athletes trying to get away. The Brownlees want to get away from any possible trouble. The other athletes want to get away from the Brownlees. And don't forget Mario Mola. Mario Mola's a man here on a mission. Fantastic performances over sprint distance. He wants to win here today.
750 metres. And they're getting through that distance quite quickly with just under 250 to go. You can see they're almost back to the blue pontoon, where they will exit and make the short run to transition, where the bikes, I can see in front of our commentary position, the bikes are parked up with the shoes attached to the pedals and the bike helmets and sunglasses ready to go. Transition, especially in a sprint race, has to be executed quickly and flawlessly, and you have to follow the rules as well. We've seen a few penalties handed out for people who have failed to get their wetsuits into the plastic boxes or left their shoes strewn around the transition area. The judges and the jury are there watching, and they will penalise people if they get things wrong, and you can be stopped and held for 15 seconds, which of course can make a massive difference. There's number 11, one of the Russians, Igor Polyansky, as we pan forward through the bunch towards the front of the field, where we find Richard Varga with Henry Skooma, Aurelien Raphael, and we assume both of the Brownlee brothers not too far away. And it's their training partner who spends a lot of time with them up in Leeds, where the World Triathlon Series will decamp to in June of next year. In Roundhay Park they'll swim. Richard Varga is the man who controls the swimming training. He's the fastest man in the water. He's part of the Leeds training setup, which involves Alistair, Jonathan, Non-Stanford and Vicky Holland, and one or two others coming through from the junior ranks in the control of Malcolm Brown, who described at the moment that Johnny has got the balance of training absolutely nailed this year. We'll see how he fares in his first race against his older brother here this afternoon. They're almost done with the swim stage.
But at this stage of the swim, we'd almost be expecting there's a little bit of backing off. The positions have been taken in, they've been consolidated. We almost think, okay, the lead swimmers, they're looking up there, but that hasn't happened at all. That sprint speed from the start has been maintained right the way through, and I really cannot remember when we saw a sprint distance triathlon with the swimmers just spread out over such a long distance.
Henry Skooma leads Richard Varga out of the water, those two together with Aurelien Raphael and Frances Godoy. Then Johnny is the first of the brothers out, with Alistair hot on his heel. Then Roar, the first Australian, Schomburg of Turkey, Dodds of New Zealand, Zafiris, Polyansky, Konitz, and now for a few brief moments the boys are barefoot in the park as they head towards their bikes. Wetsuits taken off. Schoeman multitasking, stepping out of his wetsuit and clipping on his bike helmet at the same time. Who's going to be first to emerge? On the left of screen you can see Johnny. There he is, Johnny Brownlee, wearing number 3. He's got that right, and he's not far off the leaders, and we will have quite a sizable group, I think, at the front of the first lap as they head out onto the tarmac. They stay within the park to ride 4 laps of 5Ks each, 20Ks in total. Then a big bunch coming out, and Alistair wasn't as quick in and out of transition as he might have liked. Looking a bit further back, there goes Tom Bishop, just coming out on the right of your screen. Mario Mola, never expected to be near the front of the bunch coming out of the water, but he's not too far behind. I think he won't mind this being a sprint distance race, the Spaniard, in the absence of Javier Gomez. Someone's got a problem with a bike seat. That was number 68. Just coming out and losing control. That was Lawrence Fanous from Jordan, but they are all in and out of transition. And now, 2 wheels as Schoeman leads them along on lap number 1.
Great transition from Schoeman, absolutely fantastic there. Really made every possible use of the advantage he had with that absolute bridge. Oh, now we've got somebody down from...
It's Johnny Brownlee. Johnny Brownlee has problems with his bike. He's remounted, but there is clearly a mechanical issue for Johnny Brownlee before he's even got stuck into the first lap.
Well, I think he may have pushed down hard there and the chain possibly coming off. He was in a big gear as well, really working hard to try to get back on the pedals. Now that has changed the dynamics of the race almost immediately. Not a great first transition by Alistair Brownlee, and Johnny Brownlee, he's going to be feeling absolutely in desperation at the moment because Schoeman has not let this pace drop at the front. It's always difficult to get away in a lead pack when we are on the sprint distance, but at the moment it looks as if we've got a working group there who are desperately hoping that they can stay there.
Neither of the Brownlee brothers are with the front group of about 7. They both have work to do. A little bit further back, we'll pick up Alistair as he tries to carve his way up through the field, and he's already picking them off on a mission to rejoin the front of this race.
This is tough. This is a long way down for both the Brownleys. We talked about a war of attrition, and that's gone from the front, but it hasn't gone to the people who we thought would be taking command of that. And this is going to show the mettle of the Brownleys to work hard in a very unaccustomed position to try to get back at the front, because they cannot rely in the sprint distance on their running speed. They need to be out there. They need to work hard, both of the boys, right the way through.
So they've just come around the top of the park at Lancaster Gate, just by the tube station there. And they make the turn out and back, and now there's a long north to south run down towards the Albert Memorial before they head along South Carriage Drive up towards Hyde Park Corner, and then they turn left again back towards the transition area to complete the first lap. But an extraordinary start to this race in Hyde Park, not going according to the expectations as yet, but of course you can be sure that the brothers will work hard. Hopefully they'll come together and be able to combine and close the gap.
Well, I don't know what's going on there. We've got a lot of looking behind. I think Alistair Brownlee may have rejoined that front pack. It was Johnny we saw really struggling, but we're just trying to get a close-up here, but I think it may well be that Alistair Brownlee has rejoined the lead pack.
So the tarmac is drying out slowly after this morning's wet weather, but they still need to take care. And now you can see from the overhead graphic the distance between the leaders and Jonathan Brownlee after his mechanical issue. 1 minute and 4 seconds behind. He's got a lot of work to do.
That's an enormous amount of this sprint distance. Well, what's going to happen? Is it going to be that the lead pack have seen Alistair Brownlee rejoin, if in fact he has, and is there maybe a sense of, oh, well, we tried to get our way, we haven't managed that, and if it does back off, you just know that Johnny Brownlee is going to go, whether it's in a group, whether he has to go by himself, because he has to be there up in the front lead pack.
Avoiding the paddles on the inside of the road surface there, and the field is so well spread. I think we've got a break at the front of the pack. This is the leader. I think it's one of the South Africans, possibly one of the Australians.
Well, that lead pack seems to have not to have maintained that that early lead that they had. There were maybe 6, 7 there. I think there's a lot more than that. Maybe we've doubled that group, 12, 15 possibly in the lead pack. But what we want to find out, what we need to find out, is whether Alistair Brownlee is in that lead pack. There's back with Johnny Brownlee. We've got a 2 up there working hard to try and get back. Now, is that Wilson from Australia? Certainly he was with him a little before. Maybe they